Welcome back!
Hello!
Welcome back, Tito VP.
Today, ang ita-try natin na wine ay aso.
Arf, arf!
Bubbles.
Mukhang
Yan.
beer, Toni.
Pero mas fragrant siya, ha?
It's still the same energy na tipong pang alas 4 ng hapon.
Yun. Ako kasi blind
Oh.
sa pag-ibig.
Ay!
Tapos, kailangan blind tasting.
But dito humuhugot ka sa shippers, parang hindi masyado.
Kasi dito kasi may painom. Doon naman sa shippers, wala naman lagi. Laging bring your own booze.
Sorry.
Welcome back to Wines and Titas, ang show para sa mga mahilig mag-try some. So, yung mga tao mahilig mag-try ng mga kung ano-anong anik-anik. I am Tita Toni.
Hi, and I'm Tita Rai. Tita. At ako ang inyong tita na mahilig na mag-try ng try until I die. I'm Tita Rai, and this is Wines and Titas.
Ayan, Tita Rai, tayo nagbabalik sa another episode ng Wines and Titas. At meron din tayong guest na nagbabalik. So, welcome back to our guest,
Bakit?
Tito Vicky.
Bakit?
yung
Ang tanong, bakit nandito? Dito pa rin.
Welcome back!
Hello!
Welcome back, Tito VP.
Thank you for having me a second time around. Charot.
Yes.
Last mo na to. Charot. Hindi naman. Welcome ka lagi.
Yes. And today, ang ita-try natin na wine ay aso.
Arf, arf!
Bubbles.
Pag ito, walang bubbles.
Kailangan
Try
ba yung
natin.
malaki?
Tita Rai ko na magbasa, hindi ka talaga mabasa. Sorry.
Pagpasensyahan nyo na ho, mga titas, dahil malalabo na ang aming mga mata. Ako rin walang salamin kasi nga nag-glare. But anyway, I'll try my best. Garnacha pa rin siya. Goals. You people can go ahead and open your cans. Sobrang bet ko talaga yung matte packaging niya, pero hindi siya sulit for its price. Aso Bubbles, 12.5 alcohol content din niya. Ay, mukhang beer. Mukhang
Yeah.
beer, Toni. Mukhang beer siya.
So bubbly.
Tapos
Pero it smells
garnacha
better.
rin siya. Garnacha rin siya. Last week, trinay natin yung aso na white. Pustahan.
Same taste.
Gaano kaparehas ang lasa nitong iinumin natin?
Pero mas fragrant siya, ha? Compared to the other one. Mas
Yeah,
naaamoy ko yung
Even from the can, parang medyo may scent ng lumalabas.
Medyo floral. Greenish ba siya?
Oo, sa akin green.
Wala na yung bubbles nung sa akin. So, parang yung last week lang na white. Cheers, mga tito at mga
Cheers.
titas. Alam mo,
Same thing.
Same, but different packaging.
May bubbles lang
Bubbles
siya.
lang. Oo.
Wala na yung bubbles. Oh, kita niyo pa ba? May bubbles pa ba? Wala na. Same yung flavor profile, yung notes, ganyan. Pero mas lighter, mas fleeting. O baka dahil malamig pa. So, hintayin ko muna
Mas siya. Siyempre dahil sa bubbles, livelier yung lasa niya. Mas refreshing siya for me.
Mine's dead, rest in peace.
Bakit nawala yung bubbles?
Nawala. I
Dito
don't
si
know.
Pero agree ako kay
Also-
Tita Toni, parang medyo mas livelier nga siya. Kasi may bubbles. I think flavor-wise, it's almost the same. May nalalasahan akong konting bitterness lang more than the white from last week. Pero nandun pa rin, parang it's still the same energy na tipong pang alas 4 ng hapon. Gano'n. Alas 4 naman.
So,
Alas
medyo
4
late.
na.
Medyo late. Oh,
Oo.
hindi alas 11 ng umaga. Alas 4 na ng hapon. Gets ko, yung bitterness parang galing sa beer. Parang pagka-beer siya dahil siguro sa bubbles. Parang ganong klaseng bitterness ang dating niya sa akin. Yung base niya is very much like yung white wine from last time.
Actually, may quick question ako.
Go.
Kasi kayo yung mas nakakaalam sa wine here. Syempre. But diba usually wine is packaged in glass bottles or foil boxes, which is like yung cheaper talaga niya alternative. So is an aluminum can an ideal package for wine. Kasi di ba usually beer or even cocktail spirits yung nakakan.
Or baka the
effect pa siya.
chemistry, oo.
Mhm.
Bobo ako. Toni,
Sige.
go.
Actually, pinag-usapan namin yan last time when we tried Woomera. Kasi we were able to taste yung wine, same brand and same variety of the grape sa bottle and then dun sa canned wine nila. And yung napansin ko is mas may body, mas masarap yung lasa when it's in a bottle compared to when it's inside a can. But isa pa lang yung na-try namin na gano'n na parehong brand na magkaiba ng packaging. Flatter yung lasa ng wine dun sa can.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure if it's because of the chemistry dahil yung bumabangga yung molecules
Chemical
na.
reaction.
Oo.
Alam mo, Fico, meron yun.
Pwede rin perception natin kasi when it's fermented naman, the wine, di ba nasa steel, din naman siya, parang
Steel
vats.
Barrel. Oo.
Oo. Tapos nililipat lang nila dun sa sa mga wooden barrels kapag papasukan mo na ng flavor profile yung wine. So I think baka yun lang din para may prejudice tayo kapag natingin natin cheap wine siya, so parang pina-prime na natin yung sarili natin na hindi masarap yung lasa nito.
Yeah.
Alam mo, ang solusyon dyan, magta-try pa tayo ng ibang canned wines. Iba pang brands.
Na available din sa sa glass bottles.
Oo,
May
oo,
comparison.
para magkaroon tayo ng comparison. Sige, ano natin yan.
Actually, invite
Yung
natin si
lineup.
VP dun sa blind tasting event natin. Ay ba? Ayaw mo?
Ay, go! Pwede naman.
Thank you. I
Naka-record
feel
nga
so
pala
welcome.
Doon
Ako.
natin malalaman kapag kasi blind tasting siya. Doon natin malalaman na yung pala talaga yung gusto mo na na taste,
Mm,
'di ba?
Ako kasi blind
Oh.
ko sa pag-ibig.
Ay!
Tapos kailangan blind tasting.
Ba't dito humuhugot ka? Sa shippers parang hindi masyado.
Iba
Alam mo,
talaga kapag
totoo.
nakakainom. Oo, mas madalas ako makahugot dito. Kasi dito kasi may painom. Doon naman sa shippers, wala naman lagi. Laging bring your own booze.
Sorry. Magpapainom na daw yung isang shipper. Para
Oo. So, in fairness naman sa mga kabalakan natin, pagdating sa content creation, dami kasing balakid din. Yun yung pag-uusapan natin now, na ano ang naging landscape ng content creation. Marami kasing nag-start nung di ba, nung kasagsagan nung pandemya. Tapos 2 years into this pandemic, medyo nagluluwag-luwag na lahat. So, parang ano yung mga naging differences from 2 years ago and now. So yun. At bilang punong tagapagmando ng bank, itong si VP, ang aming special guest right now. Sagot in 200 words.
Wow.
That was space.
ang dami. Essay. Charot.
Yes. Na sa tingin mo yung yung trajectory lang of people na kasi ang daming at least yung Tsaastrology and Wines and Titas have been existing way before even the pandemic started, di ba?
Yeah.
But yung The Shippers and a huge number of podcasts within the punk collective nag-start lang during the pandemic. And then medyo movement to normalize yung buhay natin. Parang napansin mo with the changes from then till now?
What I noticed on the positive side muna is yung pandemic kasi kind of challenged us to be more resourceful when it comes to creating content. Something na we could do before in person, we had to find ways to do separately, di ba? Parang ngayon, like what we're doing now, we're recording separately, pero it's still the same content naman. So, that's something na yung mga content creators or shows that existed before the pandemic had to do talaga. Na parang find a way to adjust and adapt to that. So, after nun, I think sila yung mas madaling nakabalik back on their feet kasi now they have two options. Do it in person, like yung pre-pandemic times and how they did it, but now knowing better and knowing more, pwede pa rin nilang gawin yung at the comfort of their own home. Kasi it still exists as an option. So, on the more positive side, I think yung trajectory nun is just it gave creators more opportunities to explore how they produce the content. Kasi the actual content naman remains the same. On the bad side naman, this is something I've noticed, especially dun sa mga nag-start lang during the pandemic. I'm not saying na lahat sila, ganun. But a lot of the content creators that started around the pandemic, medyo nag-fail na to sustain when, diba, mas nag-open up na ng konti. Na parang we could go out more, we're a little bit freer when it comes to meeting our friends, having a social life, gano'n. Parang nawala na ng space yung content creation for them. On the positive side though, there are a lot of people naman na nag-adapt din to it, na dati sanay sila na ganito, distance content creation, or like just doing it by themselves, but now they're able to do it outside in much bigger spaces. So nagkaroon din ng experimentation. I think bottom line lang here is that what the pandemic did to content creation really is to both expand our horizons and test our capacities for change din talaga. Taray, very
Thank you
essay.
for that wonderful answer, Miss VP. Matanong ko lang, etong StreamYard, kailan to nag-start?
StreamYard was around pre-pandemic, but hindi siya ganito ka-robust. Yung gamot, yung iniinom pa.
Oo.
That existed naman na, but a lot of the features na we experience now or are available now, like in StreamYard and in other similar platforms, kumbaga, lumabas lang talaga ng pandemic kasi it was more of a need rather than a want.
In fairness, dun nga nung sinabi mo nga na na parang nag-open ng more opportunities for at least for people who have been into content creation way before the pandemic. Parang kasi kami ni Toni, nasanay kami talaga na na magbo-book ng Airbnb, tapos doon maglalasing. As you should naman talaga. Alam mo 'yun?
Yeah.
Oo, tapos nag-shoot ng mga 4 na episodes. I mean, I think yun yung isa sa mga nabago ng pandemya, no? Hindi na natin kaya yung 4 straight episodes.
Alcohol tolerance pala yung na-challenge.
Oo, but ayun parang may constant want pa rin to produce content. Kasi nga we're creatives, ganyan. But dahil nga dumating yung pandemya, parang we have to look for other ways. Kaya ayan, andito tayo. Salamat StreamYard. Salamat bang.
For those who are new in content creation, can you tell them the difference between podcasting, vidcasting, and kung ano-ano pang casting? Ano yung difference?
Yung technical side of it, like when you define a podcast, kasi diba, podcast came from iPod and like broadcasting. So it was really the same format naman even before when it was invented, quote-unquote. It was really meant for on-demand listening na parang yung conversation or topic, ganyan. And what separated it from audiobooks is that this is more conversational. It's like listening in on a bunch of friends talking about a certain topic, or listening to someone parang being very passionate about what they're talking about. So, yung podcast talaga was really parang driven towards audio-only content. Vidcast naman was kind of like an adaptation to that, which is this na mas video format. It's still the same content, like it still checks all the boxes of conversations, of specialty learning, parang ganon, but in a more video format. So in interactive in a way na parang mas may visuals ka. May animation lang, so parang mas may visualization lang of what's being talked about. Yun yung parang naging derivatives ni podcast itself. But nagkaroon din ng other forms, especially when TikTok came in, na force yung creators to kind of squeeze everything into a maximum of 3 minutes. So some of them would still be vidcasts, pero sobrang chopped up into highlights and big pieces. Yun mostly yung difference ng mga derivatives na yun. But again, there's like a ton of different formats for contents. Yung podcast, vidcast, or TikTok video or reel is more of a format thing rather than actual structure or actual content.
Anong advice pwede mong i-advise sa mga content creators na gusto pa rin nilang mag-create ng content but like medyo sobrang demanding na nung outside world na nawawalan na sila ng oras for it? 300 words naman to.
Okay, try ko. Charot. No, I think my advice to that is number one, it takes a lot of sacrifice to be able to create content. So you really have to find time for it eh. You have to parang etch out a schedule. It doesn't have to be definite, but you have to find the time for it talaga. And number two, you can always explore naman. If you really want to still create content while dealing with the demands of the outside world, parang why not, if you're doing a podcast, do it with your friends at a restaurant while you're dining together. 'Di ba? That could be something na may iba yung texture. And I think yun naman yung kinaganda din ng content creation these days, is that walang pressure for gloss or for high production value. Can be as personable and as personal as possible. It's either find the time for it or find a different way to create your content. So sometimes you have to let it happen while life happens. Yun yung advice ko lang, is really just find that perfect spot and explore how you can continue to create content while living your life. May question naman ako sa inyong dalawang mga titas. Since we're talking about content creation, curious lang din ako, like, kayo, paano nabago ng pandemic yung way nyo in creating content? Like, wine is such a social thing. I feel like,
Exactly.
di ba? So, parang distance recording like this, did anything change or...
Mas mahal.
Ayan. Ayan. Oo, actually, mas mahal. Kasi kinailangan ka namin bilhan eh.
Oh, sorry
No,
Salamat na libre to.
Kaya rin naman kami nag-push through with wines and titas before. Kasi, kunyari, meron kaming gustong i-try na wine, isang bote. Lagi kasi by the bottle mo bibilhin. So, mag-shoot kami, isang bote, kami na mag-share na kami nun. Tapos parang one of the initial struggles nga nung getting back into creating new content, yung kung anong gusto naming wine, kailangan meron siya at meron ako.
Yes.
Medyo may problem si Toni kasi hindi niya kaya ubusin mag-isa.
Oo, wala kasi akong ka-share. Si Rai kasi share niya yung mom niya. Ako wala.
Oo.
Walang talagang iinom lahat.
Pero to be fair, malakas uminom si Toni.
Pero kaya hindi nyo na nagagawa yung 4 episodes in one setting. Kasi,
Hindi naman namin inuubos yung bote no, in this setup. Pero yun nga, ako kasi may katulong. So, kunwari kapag hindi ko masyadong gusto, at least mauubos agad. Kasi kay Toni, di ba parang nakakwento mo before, parang naiipon sa ref.
Yes. Oo, totoo yun. Kasi imaginein mo na lang kung 4 yung iinumin namin. So, 4 na bote yung nasa loob ng ref. Paano ko iinumin lahat yun?
Kaya rin kami nag-try ng canned wines kasi at least pwedeng maubos in one sitting.
Oo, yun yung pinakamalaking natin, no, blocker for us, na parang hirap na hirap kami ngayon na mag-ubos ng bote.
Oo, after trying it. Oo, yun naman.
After trying it, yes.
Although, to be fair naman, pag mag-shoot tayo magkasama,
yes.
minsan naman, hindi natin talaga inuubos yung bote. Kasi, di ba, saksi
kasi
si VP, naging taga-ubos si VP ng mga tira nating open bottles.
Tsaka natuto na kasi tayo, di ba?
Oo. Kapag yung bote, de roscas, okay lang kasi may mag-uuwi. So at least hindi maubos. Ang usually problem namin noon kapag mag-shoot together, kapag cork yung wines, kasi yun yung kailangan ubusin talaga.
Lalo na VP, yung first season namin, yun yung wala pa kaming alam sa anything about wine talaga. Gusto lang talaga namin uminom ng wine, and nag-uubos talaga kami ng bottle. 3 lang kami na.
Walang mag-move sa next episode kasi hindi nauubos yung bottle.
So just imagine how many bottles yun.
Pero alam mo, sino ba kasi yung nagplano in the first place na dapat more than one episode ang i-shoot in one day?
Kasi yun yung yun yung practical way to do it. So
yun yung namin, yung malaking change sa amin is hindi kami nag-shoot together in one space na talagang, and kasi mas saya for me talaga yung nag-shoot na very social, kasi when nandun na magkasama kayo together and you really try, kunwari if it's a new wine, then you try it for the first time, and then very talaga yung very authentic yung reaction nyo together na wait lang, masarap ba to or hindi, diba?
Rasyenggang tunay talaga.
Ayan, yung shirt ni Tita Toni, very that. It was very that. Oo.
Rasyenggang.
Fairness. So, kailan ba natin ibebenta yan? Yes! Come on, let's
Actually, yung mga gustong bumili, just message Tita Rai on social media. That's at Bibong Chubibo.
Oo, actually,
Or at
oo,
Wines and
mag-
Titas. Yeah.
Actually, mag-open din tayo soon ng ng avenues to
Yeah.
to sell our merch. But saka na kapag medyo sober na kami. Kayo naman, BP, in terms sa astrology, kasi alam ko nag-record kayo before, di ba, na together. Ba? Tapos, umabot din kayo sa stage na ito, puro StreamYard, ganyan. But, since bumalik, nagno-normalize na nga tayo, medyo nag-record na rin kayo sa studios ulit.
Yeah.
Diba? Parang, paano nyo inaano yung content ninyo? Bouncing, back and forth, distance recording and studio recording.
Kasi yung dati, actually, we had experiments na before na through Anchor or through yung mga iba-iba pang recording software online. But it was mostly experimental kasi no one knew naman na the pandemic was gonna happen eh. So when it happened, nagkaroon na kami ng head start na parang, gawin na lang natin like this yung trinay natin before. Pero yun, eventually nag-end up nga talaga na StreamYard yung most feasible and parang pinaka maayos na recording platform. And then, nung nag-start na mag-open up, yun, ginawa na lang namin is to put priority on the highlight episodes talaga when we do it in person. Kasi iba talaga yung dynamic eh.
Totoo.
Diba? When you're talking in person, parang body language pa lang feel mo may gusto nang sabihin yung kasama mo. You don't have to like signal or wala na yung, ay sorry, ganon. Wala na yung mga raise hand kineso. So we saved that for main episodes na talaga na yung kailangan namin yung ganong dynamic, kailangan namin yung ganong flow. And then for para mga sub-episodes na bonus or extras, yun yung ginagawa namin sa online. At least now, we can record ahead in person, like 4 na episodes din in one go sa studio. And then, yung mga mas interactive namin na side episodes or mga bonus, yun yung nagagawa namin on a bi-weekly basis through mga ganito, StreamYard. Ganun. So, naghanap na lang kami ng advantages for both. Studio for ipon talaga, as in pambangko ng episodes. And then, distance recording for something a little bit more interactive. Gives a chance din talaga for our listeners to be more current. But there's so many opportunities now to create content. You just really have to find something that suits your lifestyle and na you like doing. Kasi content creation really is run by passion, di ba? As long as you like what you're doing, makaka-create ka ng content.
Kaya let's, cheers to that.
Drink to that.
Kasi meron pa ako.
Konti na lang. Cheers. Pero Tita Toni, kailangan like next time pag nagkita tayo in person, find me a wine that suits me best. Ganun.
Yan. So, mahilig ka sa sweet wine. Yun lang yung alam ko. Mahilig ka sa sweet.
Alam mo, Toni, pumili ka ng wine na mapangmando din. Tapos, kaya wine na cognac. Is there like a wine? Is there like a wine that's like cognac? Because that's like very meaty.
Thank you ha. Pero so far kasi yung Riesling, the one I've been having with Ray, I forgot the brand eh, the one sa blue bottle.
Yung
Ayun.
Gantram.
Pero yun so far yung parang pinaka-comfort wine ko na right now.
German Riesling.
German Riesling.
German Riesling.
Gantram na
Ako din, mahilig ako sa German Riesling. Actually, any German Riesling masarap talaga.
Ako, any German. Masarap.
So that's it, mga titas. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. That's at Wines and Titas here on YouTube. And don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications.
Ang Wines and Titas ay part ng The Bang Collective kung saan si VP ang punong tagapagmando.
Yes.
Punta lamang sa www.thebangph.com para makita lahat ng shows. Yes, lahat ng podcast, hindi lang ng Wines and Titas, pero doon na yung Wines and Titas. Pero kung gusto niyo mag-branch out to other shows, just go there. Tapos, ang ating punong tagapagmando ay isa sa mga co-hosts ng Tsaastrology.
Tsaastrology,
So,
yes.
Oo, na part din ng The Bang Collective. At nasa The Shippers.
The Shippers, yes.
Saan namamayagpag ang kanyang pagkabakla.
Kaming dalawa ni Ray, ni Tita Ray.
Oo. So, yun. Kung gusto niyo ng baklaan, kung gusto niyo ng astrology, at kung gusto niyo ng inuman, merong i-offer ang The Bang PH sa inyo.
Yes.
The Bang Collective. Oh, yun.
Mm.
So, VP, meron ka bang last words regarding content creation and and The Bang Collective?
Feeling ko gusto ko lang magpasalamat sa inyo ni Tita Toni and Tita Rai kasi feeling ko last ko na to.
Last mo na talaga.
Grabe
Yun
yung
na.
last agad.
According sa vibe ni Rai. Ako, yung last word ko lang when it comes to content creation is really just do it. Like, press record and go ahead and do it.
Nike.
Yeah. Sana sponsoran kayo.
Tayo, oo.
Tayo lahat.
Because, content creation and athletic wear. So, yeah.
Very much the same. Like, you just have to
Oo.
do it.
Maraming salamat, mga
Thank
titas.
you. Thank you, VP.
We'll see you next time. Thank you, VP. Sure. Balik ka.
Bakit ang asim mo kay Tita? Tita talaga. Kay VP eh.
Naman. Babalik yan. Doon tayo sa show. Babalik yan. For now, paalam mga titas. Cheers! Meron pa ako
Cheers.
konti. Cheers!
Yeah.